All right, let's talk some Knicks and let's talk some Cavs. ESPN, Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins was asked who is under the most pressure to win in the Eastern Conference next season, whether it would be the Cleveland Cavaliers or the New York Knicks. And I have my own thoughts on it, of course. I'm going to let you listen to his comments first, and then I'm going to respond about both teams. But also, the two favorites are the Cavs and the Knicks. That's why he mentioned them. And the East overall is pretty much wide open except for those two teams. Boston's hurt. Milwaukee's not the Milwaukee. Indiana Pacers don't have Halliburton, although they still have a pretty good team, but they don't have Halliburton. So the Knicks and the Cavs definitely have a very big chance to get to the NBA Finals next season. But which team is under more pressure? Let's see what Kendrick Perkins says, and then I'll give you my response.
The Cavaliers and Knicks far and away the favorites to win the East. That's according to ESPN Bet. They are also the only two Eastern Conference teams, friends, that play on the first ESPN doubleheader and on Christmas Day. So of all the teams, we just get two in the Eastern Conference, which says a lot about the state of the conference right now, Perk. When you look at these two teams, which has more pressure, do you think, to come out of the East? Because it better be one of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Cavs when you talking about overall team, because they did win 64 games last season, and then they got spanked by the Indiana Pacers. So unfortunately, no one's going to give a damn what they do in the regular season. Now, when you talk about players, which players under the most pressure to deliver, that's Karl Anthony Towns. Like, it's time for him to deliver. There's been a lot of criticism when it comes down to, Luka Doncic and what he did defensively and being in shape. Well, Cat falls in that category. Cat is a walking bucket. He's one of one. Arguably the best shooting big we've ever seen. He's really, really skilled, but that's not what he needs to correct. He needs to correct his ability to get up and down the floor, be able to slide those puppies, because he was getting cooked in the pick and roll. Now you have a new coach. You went on the podcast. You say you and Mike Brown met for about 2 hours. Y'all on the same page. Damn it, all eyes on you. You in the Mecca. You gotta deliver.
I would say it's not just Cat. Yes, as a player, being the X factor, Cat absolutely. And I believe this new coach will have, make a system where he's more comfortable shooting threes, because we saw him move away from that, especially in the playoffs. But I think there's pressure on everybody in New York, especially when you make a move, losing Coach Thibodeau, and then now adding a new coach. And then there's questions about the usage, and there's questions about, okay, supporting cast, where did OG go? Where did Mikhail go when they needed them the most? Because Brunson, we know what we're going to get from him. But now it's about designing a new system that works for everybody and just not one player. So I feel like there's a lot of pressure on New York overall, knowing that the East is wide open once again. The Cavs, in my opinion, are the favorites, and they should be the favorites. You have the coach of the year, 64 wins. You retain Don. You extend Don a year ago. Now you have Evan Mobley, who got the bag, especially after getting the award. They have the supporting cast. I mean, the problem with the Cavs was that they were not healthy at the right time, which was the end of the season. A couple of players being out during the postseason messed up their rhythm. If they're healthy, this is the team to beat. And they were designed. I mean, you said something crazy last year, but wasn't that crazy? You said, hey, they're so good they make you forget about the past, because you feel like the present, they can win and turn that page away from the Cavs of the past, which they've been living in for almost a decade now. 2016, that championship. They have an opportunity to really do that this year as favorites, when a number of the teams they thought would be good actually are a little bit down.
No, and they should be the favorites, right? And that's why I said, unfortunately, whatever they do in the regular season, they could win 70 games. No one's going to give a damn. They're going to be like, we're going to evaluate them, what they do in the postseason, because again, a Donovan Mitchell-led team has never been to a conference finals. Karl Anthony Towns also. We just saw Mikal Bridges. Didn't he get an extension? OG Anunoby, he's locked in. He got his extension last offseason. Jalen Brunson as well. So when you think about Cat, you think about moving him for Julius Randle, you got him to move the needle. Not saying that he didn't, because they had a successful season this year, but if you're trying to take that jump, it's going to be on the back of Karl Anthony Towns, because we know what Big Body Brunson going to do.
Okay, so you heard Kendrick Perkins, and Kendrick Perkins said that the team with the most pressure on them in the East is the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I very strongly disagree. I think it's the New York Knicks and not the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the reason I think it's not the Cleveland Cavaliers, because it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's not New York. It's not the New York Knicks. Simple as that. They might be the favorites. They might even be a better team if you look at their records from last season. And yes, they were hurt in the playoffs and things like that. They didn't go to where they wanted to go. But it's not the Cavs. It's the Knicks. The Cleveland Cavaliers are a team that if they reach the NBA Finals, those NBA Finals are going to have lower ratings. It's just no question. That's what's going to happen. There's automatically less pressure on that team. If the New York Knicks reach the finals, and let's say, just as an example, they play the Los Angeles Lakers, could you imagine that final? That would be an insane rating final. I would tell you that. Now, Jalen Brunson's going to be Jalen Brunson. I don't think Jalen Brunson can improve, or maybe he can improve. He was great already, Mr. Clutch, all that. Now, Cat definitely has to improve from what he was doing last season. And maybe the overall system of the Knicks will change with the new coach, Mike Brown, and that will help him out a little bit. But on defense, especially against Indiana, he was getting cooked like nothing. Okay, I was watching those games. I was live streaming reaction to those games with some of you guys that are watching my channel. And it just did not look good. I was getting pissed at Karl Anthony Towns. He was inconsistent. He had a very good game, and then he had a shitty game. He had a plus 18 game, and then he had a minus 20 game. You cannot have that if you're the X factor on a team like the New York Knicks. Now, another player that I'm going to talk about real quick is Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges had a $150 million extension. He was averaging about 15, 16 points a game. I think this dude could easily average 20. And he definitely has to get his field goal percentage up, because I think overall he's a better player, but he seems to be too streaky for me. So if Mikal Bridges shows up a little bit better, Brunson is what he is, and maybe he improves in this if the system changes, and maybe it even works better for him. And then you got Cat, who is more consistent, who's a little bit better on defense, maybe used better in overall game situations where he's not as exposed if he can't improve a lot. Then the Knicks should be better. Then the Knicks also had 2 acquisitions. I am very excited for the guy that dunked over LeBron James in the Olympics, Yabusele. I really love players like that. That's a New York Knicks type of player. Tough, rugged. I mean, I'm looking at a guy like that. I'm looking Charles Oakley. I'm looking Anthony Mason. Guys like that. So I love players like that. And then you look at Jordan Clarkson. Jordan Clarkson, he could score in bunches. He could give you 20, 30, maybe even up to 40 points a game if he's doing good and he gets the playing time. He is a little bit of a streaky player, but he's a crazy spark off the bench. He's the kind of guy, something like DiVincenzo was the season before we traded him. Because DiVincenzo was doing really good for the Knicks. He'd come off the bench, he'd get you a couple of threes, really good shooting percentage, damn spark off the bench, no question. Now, if all of that can come together, what I just mentioned, with Mikal Bridges improving, Cat improving, Brunson staying what he is, or maybe slightly improving in a new system, and then you got Yabusele coming in, getting some nice minutes. If you got Mitchell Robinson actually hitting his freaking free throws, maybe he could get 20, 25 minutes a game, or maybe even 30. We don't know. But he could hit those damn free throws. That would be a huge improvement, because I think in the playoffs, we had 1 or 2 games that we lost because of his free throw shooting. And the hacker Robinson. That cannot happen. You can't have such an offensive liability on your team. And you got to take him out in certain minutes because the opposite team is just using him and, fouling him on purpose, so he shoots free throws and misses them. We can't have that. And then you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. If they're staying healthy, The only thing that I see for the Eastern Conference is an Eastern Conference final between the Cavs and the New York Knicks. Overall, I don't know. I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers, overall, with their big men and their defense, are a little bit tougher than the New York Knicks. And then you got Mitchell kind of offsetting Jalen Brunson. So it would be a nice series to watch if both teams are healthy. 6-7 games easy. I would like to see the Knicks go to the NBA Finals. It's a great situation in the Eastern Conference, not having all those other teams to deal with so much, that they do have a chance to get to the finals, maybe even win a chip this season. But I think the pressure is more on the Knicks instead of the Cavs, and I'll leave it at that. So let me know what you guys think. Comment section's open as always. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. More videos coming your way soon. I'll talk to you later. Peace.